Going live. Oh, I'm live. Hi, everybody. I didn't realize I clicked the go live button. I've been trying to adjust the, it's too hard. I'm just going to sit back. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I had to restart the computer, having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're here. 5 minutes late, but here. Georgia Morantos on Live with Georgia, YouTube. We are starting a wonderful show today. We have the Wild Bird Fund for our charity organization that gets 30% of all proceeds. So if you want to ask a question, hi, sorry about the wait. One question is $10. It ends up being several questions, but if you have one thing that's on your mind and you want to give $10 today to me, you can send it through PayPal, Venmo, and through my website, which is georgiamorantos.com. Go to the shop, click on the live tarot reading, and it's $10, and 30% of that will go to the Wild Bird Fund. So we've been collecting for them, and I'm terribly excited. And finally, I can say that we donated to the December of last year, 2020, and we collected $90.35. And that is around 76 euros. So we got to donate 76 euro today to the Irish Wheelchair Association. Yay! Thank you to everybody. Linda, hi. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. And thank you to the one like. Thanks so much, everybody. We donated today. Finally, I could not start another show saying that I have to donate to Irish Wheelchair Association. I did my best to do the accounting, and I even think I may have gotten the number wrong, because from memory, I think maybe in December we did like 100% of proceeds. So on one of those nights, I may have come a little bit short. And if that's true, I'll go back and maybe talk about it next week. So I think we may end up giving them a little more. I just can't remember when we did 100% of proceeds. But I like to do that either once every 2 months or one night where, the charity gets everything, so that we're really paying it forward, 100% of the way. Tonight is, where are we? We're already kind of in the middle of March, aren't we? Today is March 7th. Do I know the date? It's March 6th. And it's the beginning of the month. And so we have a whole month. I think this month or the next one, do we have like 5 weeks? So that's exciting. That means we get to give a little bit more to our chosen charity. The kind of questions that, have worked really well on the show are, anything where we're looking at timing, when will something happen, or we're looking at relationships, how is this relationship going to work out? And we kind of break it down into one person, another person, and how they're relating. Does anyone have their tarot cards with them tonight? I thought maybe what we could do is do an open sort of reading. So if somebody had a question and was open to having quite a few people pull some cards, then we could collectively come up with quite a colorful message, which is always wonderful. Had some other thoughts for tonight. But if you are ready to ask your question, make a comment below. I will put in the... let me see what my Venmo handle is. Thank you to everybody who sent money using Venmo last week. I didn't realize how easy it was, actually. Oh, I have to sign in again. That's right. I hadn't signed in. But you can find me on Venmo. I'm pretty sure it's Georgia Morantos, or you could find me through my email, georgiamorantos@gmail. Right? So PayPal and Venmo, georgiamorantos@gmail.com. And hey, Mary, how are you? And my website. Let's see. Let's call a card for the evening. So out of the infinite potentials, infinite number of potentials of how the next hour and a half is going to go, why don't we ask the tarot to show us what we can expect? And you can see I literally had no time to get ready tonight. I jumped in the shower. I hope my stylist isn't watching. I jumped in the shower and came straight out. It was a day that kind of went long and wonky, like most days go. And I tell you, I've had an incredible week where so many things have happened in a very open-hearted way to show me where my shadow is, where I don't slow down, and it's really important to slow down. I've just had a really incredible week, even though I feel really rushed and I'm messy and I feel really vulnerable in so many ways. I'm choosing to see it all as really good and find that kind of soft spot of self-forgiveness for not being perfect. Can you feel that? I'm like getting emotional just thinking about it. Tarot cards are primed. We're now picking out a card for the night. This is a card for how we are going to do tonight. And maybe it's a card for the theme. Now, Linda, I know you have a deck of cards. Charlie, do you have a deck of cards? The big announcement this week is that I'm doing the spring sister workshop to the one that was in November. So in November 14th, we had a Learn to Read Tarot play shop, and a few people ended up on the waiting list, and they're actually already up and coming. They sort of sent their money in for the spring Learn to Read Tarot play shop. That's coming up on March 27th. That's actually my big announcement. Woohoo! And hi, Johan. And so on my website, my latest blog post is all about the play shop. So you can click on a link and read all about what to expect and what you need. And it's going to be $60 for pretty much a full day workshop. Last time we did it, we ran through all of the cards in the morning. It was a little bit exhausting for everybody just to listen to me going through the cards. And then we had some guided meditations. We really spoke about, looking at the shadow and the light in each card and how to interpret cards when you're only looking at them upright. I don't read the reverse cards. You certainly can, right? There's so many cards, but I'm teaching them how to read them upright. There's so much information in them, and each card has a shadow and a light in it. Irina! Oh, Irina, thank you so much. Irina was there. She's an excellent reader. I hope you have your cards ready and primed tonight, Irina, because I'm going to lean on everyone who I know has tarot cards, right? Linda was in the group last time. Thank you for that recommendation, Irina. I do, if you're interested, the last 2 hours of this upcoming workshop, I'm going to open it up to people who have done the course with me, either in 2018, where I had the online course. So there were a handful of people who did it with me then. And to everybody who studied with me in November to come back on March 27th in the last 2 hours. And I have figured out, listen to this, I'm so excited. I have figured out how to create Zoom breakout rooms. So what I intend to do is there's 8 people who are going to come into the main class who will be there for the full day. And then the last 2 hours where we're going to be practicing our spreads and doing readings on one another, instead of all of us doing it as a group, I'm going to break people up into breakout rooms so that everyone will be in pairs and they'll read each other and then come back into the main room and talk about their experience and get some supervision on any troubleshooting. So we'll be able to do that a few times, especially with the ones who are more experienced. So that's exciting, right? We've got that. And for that 2 hour spot, it's $20 to come on and join in that practice reading session, that 2 hour practice reading session. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. I've got a little bit of experience. I've seen it. I've participated in workshops where that happens. And I love having the privacy of just one-on-one. When you're reading someone, you can really connect to their energy better and focus better. So I'm so excited that I can do that. That was something that I couldn't offer the group in November that I'm now offering in the March 27th group. So super exciting. 2 to 4 p.m. And if you think that, just because you haven't studied with me, if I end up having spaces available. Like I'm hoping that we could have 8 people in the full day workshop, and then maybe 6 people or 8 people joining in that 2 to 4 p.m. period. This is all Eastern Standard Time, mind you. If there aren't people who are interested in that coming in that 2 to 4 p.m., if there's someone who's, you know, an advanced reader, has done a lot of their own study, and you know, and we know one another, then just let me know. Oh, Charlie says you don't have a deck. Oh, okay. I thought there was one time when we had spoken about you having one. I should really give away some decks. Is anyone interested? Would anyone be interested in winning a Smith-Waite tarot deck? I know a few people already have one here. I have a couple of giveaways that are kind of things. There's the Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom book, which I adore and think everyone needs to read. It's like written in 1978, but is like a Bible, has a lot of information, includes a lot of the symbolism, the Christian Hermeticism, the Kabbalah, all of it's kind of tied there very nicely. And she gives her own sort of, poetic understanding. She's an incredible writer, Rachel. She's written many, many books, not just on tarot. So I digress. So you can find out all the information on georgiamarantis.com, and it's coming up March 27th. So there are 4 seats left out of the 8 that were available for the full day workshop. So if you want to get in, don't procrastinate. See, you know, this is pretty much, I think this will be the last one that I do this year. So jump in if you have an opportunity, or you've been thinking about it, or, you know, you're just wondering what is tarot. You know, at the end of the day, you'll get a PDF of all of these slides, so that you'll have this information at hand, everything that we talked about, and you'll get sort of my flavor on how I read the cards and what kind of the ways that I tie them together that makes it easy to remember, right? And I think I've been trying to do that as we've been learning the major arcana tonight. The major arcana on these Saturday nights. You know, there's like the first 7 major arcana are the ones that tell the story of how, you know, we come into this physical 3D dimension, includes all the 5-dimensional information about, you know, what makes us up, you know, all the stuff, you know, the magicians pulling down the energy from the stars and creating these things in us in the physical. We're creating ourselves in the physical. And then that soul's journey in this physical body, you know, as it moves through with its parents and with its, you know, with its teachers and its lovers, and, you know, how it's ready to go on into the world as the chariot. And then everything happens, you know, all these life experiences happen after that. And you get the hangman and justice and really wonderful cards, right? Then the devil turns up, and you've got the tower card. And it's just so wonderful, isn't it? When you think of the 22 major arcana as a story, you know, it's really quite exciting. It's kind of the archetypes in the major arcana are like the stuff of movies, you know. This is the kind of the drama of life, the excitement in life. It's why we come into life. I think, I mean, it's why we take life, just to experience that you know, the senses and being here and the excitement of that. Of course, we then also, you know, experience the opposite of that because we're in duality. Here we go. We're choosing a card for tonight. Who's ready for that? I'm ready for that. Of all the millions of unlimited possibilities, we are going to draw one for the influence and wonder of tonight. Here we go. The Hermit. The Hermit. So now that he's crystallized in view, doesn't he look like a crystal? You know, he's sitting atop the snowy mountain. He's literally at the top. I mean, when you look at his feet, he's on an apex, and there's only a tiny patch of snow. Look at me. I'm red from I can see these splotchy bits on my neck. Excuse me. Got a little distracted there. Sorry. So having a look at the Hermit's feet, he sits atop this apex of a mountain, And in the background, you have the sort of memory that we often see, this very high mountain, this kind of like, very singular mountain in a lot of the landscapes that Pamela Coleman Smith drew in the background of these tarot cards. And to me, this peak, this kind of top peak reminds me of the Lord Shiva and the lingam and the energy, the masculine energy sitting on the very feminine energy, so that there is this balance that happens with that energy. But these mountains are clearly a row of mountains, and they're separate to this one. So this is one mountain that's just as high as those mountains. So we know, do we not, that we're going to go high? Lauren, hello. Lauren Fox is here. We know we're going to go really high. We're going to take this high. We're going to take the understandings and the knowings as high as possible. Can we handle it? I'm not sure I can handle it, friends. I'm only barely handling 3D life. So the Hermit promises so we have put into existence a card for tonight that is symbolized by the Hermit. And what is he? He is all about the golden energy and magic of life, and understanding, why we're here, and how does this all work. This is the Star of David, above so below, and all the alchemical understandings of the fire, all of the elements, mercury, sulfur, salt, it's all here. It's all encompassed in this one symbol, such a powerful symbol that exists on the planet right now. And it's glowing. It's lighting the way forward. We are the light, our own light bearers, right? We find our light within, and then we move forward with that light of understanding. We move forward with that light of understanding. And do we stumble? Yeah, we stumble, right? We stumble, and then we get back up, and we pick up our light, and we keep moving forward. And I love how high his hand is. The Hermit is stoic, very stoic. Thanks, Lauren. And his hand is even above his head, and you see how his head comes down a little, that he's humbled by this, humbled by the light, humbled by the connection to light, and humbled in being led by the light. So because he has achieved this understanding, right? This physical being is not the doer, but is the doer, but humbled by that which creates everything, right? Humbled by Spirit, God, Source, and that Source is leading the way, right? It's in front of everything and below his head, below ego, below thought. All right, the Hermit. The Hermit has placed the goal post really high. And if we all combine our efforts, I know we're going to achieve the Hermit here tonight. Highly spiritual card. And for those people who have number 9 as their life path number, I know I've talked a lot about one of my favorite books, The Divine Triangle, Numerology and Tarot, kind of understood. Amber Jayanti and Faith Devani, really great book. I don't have it right here to show it to you, but I have shown it to people before. So The Divine Triangle by Faith Giovanni. And this is actually one of the books I do recommend. So the other one was Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom, which I will be giving away tonight. And maybe next week I'll give away a tarot deck. The Divine Triangle by Faith Giovanni and Dusty Bunker. What a great name. Right? Hi, Shelley. How are you? Lauren Fox says, lower desires leads the way to higher desires. Yes. And the reminder, right? The reminder to allow it all to be. Here comes the Hermit again. I'm going to put the Hermit aside. I think the Hermit is stalking me at the moment. So the letting go of yes. Oh, I love that, Lauren. Yes, being able to say no, allowing no, slowing down. I really, I've been doing readings for some time now, and I realize it might be time for me to spend some time before a reading, kind of doing like a full meditation, meditating with the person and their questions who are coming. So this is something that a friend of mine does with her readings, Constantina. Actually, if you want a reading from someone who's been reading for many years, her name's Constantina Rhodes. She is amazing, Constantina Rhodes. She's a psychic medium here and a trance channeler here in New York City. You can look her up. I do highly recommend her because she works with a number of guides, and her guides, she meditates with them before a reading, and the readings that I've had with her have always been really, very enriching, very nurturing. So look her up. And that's what she does. She'll meditate before a reading. And I'm thinking to myself, this is something that I think I would benefit from doing, kind of slowing down, giving myself an opportunity to go into that kind of very meditative theta state, where connection really happens, and theta brainwave state. And then bringing that forward to the reading, and that being the best foot forward for someone to come into a reading to say, hey, that's great. Lauren says, Georgia, I would love a pool if there's an opportunity. You bet. You bet there's an opportunity. Lauren Grove, yes. Lauren Fox says boundaries, yes. I've never thought of that with the Hermit, but yes. Yeah, absolutely. That there would be a limitlessness and no boundaries in one sense means in the 3 dimension, there has to be a place for boundaries. There really is a place for boundaries, and they're essential, absolutely essential. So I'm pulling out the cards. I think I was on a train of thought that went missing or went haywire there. Please remind me if I was. Lauren Fox says, Georgia, I would love a pull if there's an opportunity. You bet. So I'm just going to jump in. Let me know if you've paid for a reading. Very happy to do that. We can also, if you have any questions about the tarot, if you've been doing some readings for yourself and you're wondering, how to do a kind of reading, any kind of reading, any questions, how to get around certain questions. If you've been reading for a friend or someone. Lauren is getting a card. Lauren has the World card. Wow, what a great card. So this and the Fool card are related. So big card, pulled the Hermit, and now we've pulled the World. Mary, yes. Let's all pull a card until someone can donate to our Wild Bird Fund. It would be great if you could donate or send in some money for the question, because then the Wild Bird Fund will also benefit, and we're here to kind of pay it forward, right? We're providing a service for our friends and loved ones here, but it's also good for us to pay that money forward. At least 30% of it will go. Now, what am I doing? I'm going to pull out the Fool card, because you can't talk about the world without the Fool, I don't think. Well, certainly not since moving through the arcana for the workshop that I did in November. The two are so related. One is a freedom and a complete trust in spirit, that is kind of like an ending, and the other is a freedom and a trust in spirit that's a beginning, right? So it would make sense that because we're in the 3-dimension, we need both. We need both because both exist. Sometimes we're sort of freed from it all. Here we go. So Lauren, you got the World card. I know I'm disturbed by my rash. Something's going on in the liver, right? And all these spots come from the liver. So there's the World, and liver is emotions, isn't it? Anger, although I haven't felt anger. I've been feeling a lot of vulnerability. The World card, see the World and the Fool. They're very different. The World card is full, right? And this is very empty. So let's talk about the World card. The World card has the 4 spirit guides that we met in the Wheel of Fortune. We have the eagle, angel, the ox, and the lion, representing, the sort of connection through spirit guides, having a second messenger, having eagle sending messages, from spirit, and messages also about the 3-dimension. Often you're getting, this is our intuition, right? Here we've got the ox, which is strength, courage, tenacity. And the lion also is the same, actually. This is integrity on one side and courage on the other. And you have in the center someone who is open, vulnerable. And vulnerability is definitely a theme. In conversation, Brené Brown came up, and I was talking about how uncomfortable I was watching, Brené Brown's, or I was irritated a little bit by watching her special. I mean, transfixed completely, absolutely, because there are so many profound messages coming through with what she's saying about vulnerability. But because of my own discomfort around being vulnerable, I felt uncomfortable watching and listening, but I'm, working through it. So here we have someone who is completely naked, open-armed, and vulnerable, but not afraid, completely in her element, completely at ease. Beautiful. Look at this woman, how gorgeous she is, and how free from any concern about how she's perceived, about what her body looks like. There's no sense that there's any discomfort. And here is this, the way her legs are placed. There's one crossed over the other. Doesn't it remind you of the Hanged Man, where he had one crossed leg? And the Hanged Man, remember, is complete let go and surrender. So we know that she's in surrender. She's surrendered to source and the understanding of who she is in life. She has the magician's lightning rods in each hand so that she's able to manifest at will, because she understands the manifestation principle. She's lived, she's experienced, and through that wisdom, she is able to bring it forward. Here is the wreath of success and a sense of oneness. And this is the big 0 that brings you back to the Fool, right? Because the Fool is the 0 card. That's why they're together. That's why really they're one and the same. They're just painted differently. And we did the Fool card, right? So remember, the Fool is at the top of those mountains, and here are the mountains with the Fool. The Hermit has the mountains. He's right up the top with those mountains. So you can imagine the Hermit is on these mountains in the background. So on those mountains is the Hermit. Here on this mountain that's a little lower, but still up as high as these, is the Fool, and she's independent of all of that. So we're about to go on a new beginning with the Fool, but here you are. So you've come around full circle, is what this says. So Lauren, this is the card that says you've come around full circle, and there's an ending. I think everything that you've learned along the way for this, whatever you had in mind when you asked for a card pull, definitely divine feminine. Yeah. The Hermit is kind of reminiscent of the wise old being. The Hermit is the wise old being. That is definitely what the hermit is. The hermit is also Merlin, the magician. The hermit is, the old man in the cave, right? The yogi in the cave. In Indian folklore, there's Babaji. In the Himalayas, there is a saint, a yogic saint, a very high spiritual being that appears and disappears and is like thousands of years old. That's the hermit. That's the hermit. And, he'll appear for seekers who have achieved very high states of being themselves and comes to validate that. So, how are we doing? Anybody have a question? We're going to be talking about the Sun card tonight. I have talked about my spring play shop that's coming up. Very, very exciting area. I'm going to pull a card too. Would be great if people could pay for a reading. So in the card pools, is there something burning on someone's mind? Could we maybe create a teaching question? Could we do that? We could do that if you wanted to. If you had a question. Let's see. So this is Mary. We've now pulled 4 major arcana cards. Is it the energy? It must be. We're in March, the 3rd month of 2021 already, and the intensity hasn't eased up. Oh, Mary, thank you so much. Then if you have a specific question, please add that and I'll pull this. So the first card that I have is Temperance. And it's a major arcana. So this is an overall influence, an overarching influence. And the thing with Temperance, Lois, hello, welcome. Oh, there you are, Lois. You actually said hi earlier. Forgive me. So the overarching influence of Temperance is one of emotional stability and balance, because and it's very much related to the Star card. Remember last week we were talking about the Star card and how after a very intense period where everything's gone haywire, upside down and banana kind of pear-shaped, we need the Star card. We need time to kind of balance our emotions, get grounded, be one with nature. And the Temperance is doing that, but in a very different way. So the Temperance is about being on that plateau stage, right? So when we're in the tower and the devil and we're looking at the shadow work and we're doing all of that intense work, we're digging up the roots, right? We're finding all these root causes and we're just making all these connections. Then we go into the Star. So that when we do that, we're actually going up a level. Because we have the courage to go deep, we're then pulling out all the information that's necessary for ourselves to move forward in an enlightened way. And once we come up out of that, like the moon is coming up out of the shadow, right? And then the Star card is like, bringing all of that healing, calm, and peace. And then the Temperance is like, well, just stay here for a while. That's what Temperance is. So, Mary, I would have to say that this card as an influence at the moment is you being in a place right now where you're simply enjoying where you are. You're kind of biding your time. There's no massive, big drama changes going on. Transformation is energetic. It's often it's big energy, whereas the kind of very quiet transformation that follows with the Star, the moon, the Star, and the Temperance is very quiet, and it sits on a plateau. And it's number 14. Where are we? Yeah, Temperance was between, I think, the 13, which is the devil. Have I called that right? It is 14. It's between the devil and so that's 14. Obviously, the next one's 15, which 13 is death. Then there's temperance, and then I think it's the devil. So temperance is in between death and the devil, and you need that space, right? You need that time. You've just had a massive transformation, right? That's the death card. And here you've got this. So I would say that this is the influence, that you've had this transformation, Mary, somewhere in your sort of in the past year or past few months, or even in the past few decades. It could be. This could be the overarching influence. And I just realized I didn't do anything with my hair. Oh, well, this is me, friends. Nothing fancy. No makeup, no fancy hair tonight. Temperance. And what we're doing is we're kind of quietening down the ego, and we're going into our emotional state, and we're tapping into our guidance. Now, here you'll see there's a lot of gold. I love this card. There's so much gold. Look at the golden hair. Look at the incredible third eye chakra. That is the third eye chakra. This is you tapping into your intuition and understanding that your connection to spirit is what's going to keep you strong and steady. And in fact, you're going to ground through your intuition, because look at the heart. The heart is an upright triangle. Upright triangle is spirit directed, and it's air, I think, or water. So I think the downward triangle is fire. This one is what I have to check. You've got the path to enlightenment, because this is the crown chakra. You look at that, it's a crown. It's like, looks physically like a crown, but is also representing the crown chakra, which is our God connection, our connection with spirit, that the 1,000-petaled lotus that connects us to all that is, right? It's here. So the promise is that through our third eye, through the balancing of our heart and our emotions, remaining very grounded, right? 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on a rock, we are going through, there has been a death, right? The lilies. Or these are irises. They're irises, all right? And we're moving up into the enlightenment. There are 2 mountains here, because we're going from the duality into one. The duality into one. And this is a healing angel, Archangel Gabriel. And, the colors here are green, blue, and white. So, Mary, I would say if you have a specific question, it seems right on, says Mary. Let's follow this on with a specific question, Mary. Thank you for sending money via Venmo. I really appreciate that. I can pull some other cards out, but I want to make sure that you feel like you get your money's worth. The left and the right, these wings, they're not exactly the same. They're very different. And, there's that sense that, we earn our wings. We earn our enlightenment. We earn the right to do this. We earn the right to take our time and connect. It's a privilege. Oh, Mary, did you so Mary, did you want to, did you already ask a question and missed it? Do you want to ask something more specific? I'm very happy to answer a question, because you said I did. Is that just about Venmo? Lauren Fox says, you look amazing. No worries. Thank you. Thank you so much. I did. So what more can I say about that? Any lake or body of water is a psychic energy, plugs you in, because it's very grounding, but it's also very, very, very open to spirit. And, bodies of water connect you to spirit very powerfully. So I do feel that this card is about connecting to spirit. You got your money's worth. Mary, you're highly, highly intuitive. This crown chakra, the third eye chakra that's connecting you so powerfully. is really quite profound. You could do this work that I'm doing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And the intuition comes quietly. Our minds are really loud, and that's why I've decided here that every reading that I do moving forward, I'm going to take a good 10 minutes to connect to that theta wave. Lauren Fox says, experience is the teacher, all within the wingspan. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. She took the words out of my mouth as I was trying to form them. Look at the experience. We've earned the wings. They're knobbly, they're wonky. Look at this big long feather, and then all these short ones. And look at those crazy short ones right at the top, and this one that just looks like a knob. These weird ones, they're all going in all kinds of directions. You don't get your wings, just because you turned up. You have to have done the work, meet the devil and finish the game. Many lifetimes. Or so led to believe, to understand. Just so much beauty, so much reverence. And really this represents you, Mary. You're an old soul. You've done a lot of hard work. You deserve this unobstructed path direct to enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? I don't know. It's a good question. What is it? Mary, you're going to tell us. Mary says, thank you, no question. I was just looking for a general read. I haven't appreciated. I just pulled another card. And there's no, when you come out of the shadow, right, and you're looking at what do I really want? It's like life experiences have brought to this point where, we used to grasp for this and grasp for that. And, we wanted money, we wanted fame, we wanted things. Maybe we still do. There's no trouble with wanting those things, but why do we want them? It's like as we get older, we realize there's a price you pay for achieving things. There's a price you pay for having things or desiring things. Or once you get that thing that you wanted, well, maybe you just didn't, it wasn't as fulfilling as the idea of having it was, And so I feel that this is what this card is. Where to next? You don't have to do any thinking whatsoever right now, Mary, because where you are is this really wonderful place of, this stage of I'm just taking it easy, and I'm being here where I am, and I'm allowing the guidance to flow through me, this intuition that's very, very strong. And, this idea of, what's the most important of all? For me, this cloaked figure that has the red, passion around it. It's a Christ-like figure, so to speak. There's a lot of Christian hermeticism in these cards. But what could it mean if we take the cloak off and we reveal who it is? Who would it be? Would it be an angel? Would it be Jesus? Would it be some other great spiritual being, a guru, your guru? What is it that, which of these things have come into life and left in your life and made you wonder, well, what do I want now? What haven't I achieved? What do I really need to be happy? I mean, these are great questions, and they're kind of like, I think the philosophers, the Greek philosophers, it might have been Sartre, S-A-R-T. Actually, that doesn't sound very Greek. That sounds French. But one of the Greek philosophers, sort of early Greek philosophers, who talked about how to find happiness in life. If anyone knows, please correct me or let me know. How to find happiness in life. One has to take the time out. That's what this Temperance card is, taking the time out to review one's life and take stock. What's important to me right now? My friendships. Which friendships? My family, what have I achieved, what I wanted to achieve? Am I satisfied with what I've achieved? Do I have more to achieve? That's exciting. That kind of opens thing up. Lauren says, experience as a teacher all, sacred heart of whatever your belief system. This is the sacred heart of the belief system. Yes, it is, because it's the cups, right? And the cups are the emotions which come off the heart, from the heart. And these can be, right, the connection to your heart and your beliefs. The snake going down the ladder. Remember snakes and ladders? Going up, the energy of the dragon, all this smoke, this kind of like illusion, the illusion of our desires. This is really a card about desires and wondering, what do we want? So you're now taking stock. Now that I know my path is clear, my path is clear. And what do I want on this path? What else do I need? Wonderful card. Anyone else? We're coming along almost. We've got 45. We've done 45 minutes. We're going to review the Sun card. Should we review the Sun card? Should we? Should we review the Sun card? Oh. Should we do some bibliomancy as Irina? Should we read something from the Living Gita? Would someone like to pick a page by Swami Sri Satchidananda? Here he is, his big beard, all these swamis. Almost every spiritual teacher has had some kind of, shadow component, because the light, the shadow is attracted to the light, because everybody wants to be enlightened. Oh, fantastic. All right, we got 3 numbers. We are going to do it. 66. All right. Oh, here we go. You're going to love this. Who just said 66? Lauren Fox. 66. Can you see it? I'm going to start reading this bit. This is page 66, Living Gita. And we're going to read from here. It says, there was a case in the Vedas. Now, the Vedas are like the first ever spiritual texts, apparently. And I know every religion says that their spiritual book was the first book ever written. And I have no way of knowing who's telling the truth or who is right and wrong. I don't have any evidence. But the Vedas are meant to be like 5,000 years old. There was a case in the Vedas where a student approached a teacher who said, here is a cow. Go and let her graze. Stay there until the cow multiplies into 100. When there are 100 cows, come to me again. See now how long it took. A normal course of study under a teacher was 12 years. Interesting. You might say, well, that was way back in the bullock cart, like bullock is B-U-L-L-O-C-K, cart age. Now we're in the jet age. Surely, can't we learn in 12 minutes? I'm sorry, no. Now, this kind of gives rise to, this reminds me of the Temperance card we were just talking about. I'm sorry, no. You can't just learn in 12 minutes. Truth is the same always. Actually, you can learn it in 12 minutes if you have the right attitude. Wow. But it still takes a long time to rub, scrub, and clean the ego to get the proper receptivity of mind. Wow. So, Mary, just to go back to the Temperance card, I think your ego has been scrubbed clean, mighty clean, from all of these lifetimes of experience, right? And even this lifetime. It's covered, the ego is covered with so much mud, and to empty the mind and clean it takes a long time. And then there's a quote from the Bhagavad Gita that says, when you realize this truth, Arjuna, you will never be confused again, and you will clearly see that all things in creation are a part of you and me. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thanks, Lauren. That was your number 66. So we're going back for pages for Shelley. And I'm going to the offering. So they must be talking about an offering. Here we are. So this is a section now on page. I'm now on page 60 because your page 62 started on page 60, and it says a wise person is the one who seems to be doing things without any desire to do them and without any desire for the result. He or she seems to be doing things, but the actions of the wise person are completely fired by the absolute truth, by real knowing. When you let go of all attachments and experience liberation, your mind becomes absorbed in the truth. Then everything that you do becomes a sacrifice, a yagna. So this is why I just wanted to read that part, because this sets the tone for your page 62, Shelley, which is a really high. I read it, and then I knew I had to find some understanding or some explanation beforehand. So I'm going to say that again because it's really, really powerful. When you let go of all attachments and experience liberation, your mind becomes absorbed in the truth. Then everything you do becomes a sacrifice, a yagna, and all your karma melts away. The offering itself, meaning the things that you do that become a sacrifice or a yagna, an offering, and a sacrifice is an offering, right? The offering itself is Brahman, which Brahman is equivalent to God or source. The oblation, does anyone know what oblation means? O-B-L-A-T-I-O-N. Erin, hello. We're reading from oblation. Does anyone know what that means? We're reading from the Living Gita by this guy. He's interpreted it. It's the Bhagavad Gita. The oblation is Brahman, which is offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. The one who sees nothing but Brahman, which we could just replace Brahman with God, the one who sees nothing but God, the one who sees nothing but source, the one who sees nothing but the universe, in all that he or she does, certainly realizes Brahman. So I'll just read that again. Oblation. I'm going to look it up. The offering itself is Brahman. The oblation is Brahman, which is offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. The one who sees nothing but Brahman in all that he or she, a thing presented or offered to God. So God is offering to God, offered by God into the fire of God. So the one who sees everything or nothing but Brahman in all that he or she does, in every action, realizes Brahman. Wow. Wow. Amazing. So on page 62, so onto Brahman, everything goes. Taking a meal or eating a meal or receiving a meal is a devotional offering. If we rise to that level, we understand the meaning and we experience it when we eat. The food is Brahman. The hand that takes the food is Brahman. The mouth that chews is Brahman. Again, you can just replace your understanding of, universal spirit, the universe, spirit, God, love. The one that chews, the mouth that chews is Brahman. The alimentary canal is Brahman. The person who eats is Brahman. The process of eating also is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. One day we will all experience this truth. Until then, if we think this when we eat, it's useful. Ablation is to burn away. Thank you. Oblation, offering to God. I can smell cooking. So my husband's making food for the children, which is really wonderful. So I can smell food. So Brahman is cooking Brahman and offering the smell to Brahman. Brahman is smelling, and we're all Brahman, sharing Brahman with each other. Wow, we've gone deep, friends. Very, very deep. Irina, 33. Does anyone have a question? We're going to jump into the sun card very soon because we need some child energy to bring us up into the sun, which is Brahman. The child is Brahman. The horse is Brahman. The flag is Brahman. The joy is Brahman. Connection is Brahman. 33, page 33. In the chapter 3 where page 33 lives, it's called Karma Yoga. And I think even page 66, in the 60s, we're in the Wisdom Yoga action. So here we're in action. So this is like identifying. Here we go. As long as we are still identifying with our bodies and minds, we'll be tossed constantly by these three gunas. What's a guna? Gunas. So there are three gunas. They're called sattva, rajas, and tamas. These are our nature. We have three gunas in even in an atom. Sattva is like a spiritual seeker. Rajas is someone who's very active, right? And tamas, well, I hope he really explains these. Tamas. I don't have a good explanation for these, but let me just go on with these gunas. So these three gunas, gunas are like the three qualities of nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Oh, it's positive, negative, and neutral. So those three things: sattva, which is the spiritual nature; rajas is someone who runs around, presumably like in the 3D, and tamas must be something that neutralizes these two. I don't have those. I'm going to... Oh, did Lois want a card? So, Lois, we're taking $10 questions. You can play by PayPal, my email. Rajas. So here we go. Rajas. This is Sanskrit, sattva, and tamas. All right, so I'm going to continue from where we left on page 33. Why am I on page 32? Okay, so I must be reading something that's leading us up into page 33. Excuse me. Right. As long as we are still identifying with our bodies and minds, we'll be tossed constantly by these three gunas. That tossing about can be called action. Even your hunger and thirst is action. To fulfill the hunger and thirst, there's more action. Everyone must pass through this nature of the three elements, right? But gradually, when you're ripe enough in your wisdom, you just drop away from her. The nature won't affect you anymore. Though you've dropped away, you haven't disappeared. You're still in the same cosmos. But Prakriti is nature, won't affect you. So I think this is an explanation of what that means, because I'm confused. It's something like a patient who goes to the hospital to be cured. Until you're well, you have to be there. You can't just jump up and say, I came for a week only, I'm going now. While you're there, you make use of the hospital and its facility in order to be healed. On the other hand, after you're completely healed, You might still say, this bed is so comfortable and the food is so good. There are some sweet looking nurses all around. Why can't I stay a couple of days more? But now you'll be pushed out without you even trying to go. Renunciation comes in the same way, comes automatically. Even if you don't want it, it will come when you're ready. The mother or Mother Nature will nip you until you get out. The mother bird pecks at the young one. Now you have grown some wings. You can go around by yourself. Go fly now. That's what we see in nature. That's Mother Nature's function. When you're ready, she won't bother to have you here constantly feeding you. She has too much to do. There are so many children to take care of, but until that time, you should just wait and be under her loving care and learn all that you have to learn. That's beautiful. So there's just an understanding of being in our body and mind and being here until we need to be. We're here in this 3D because we need to be here. We need to learn the lesson and the wisdom of being in this 3 dimension. And then when it's time to go, that's when we go. We can't go beforehand, right? That's what this whole idea of the patient was. So the story of the patient was on page 33. And there was a page explaining, the kind of the backstory of why this, what the simile is for putting this patient into hospital and explaining, you can't go before your time. You have to wait. Oh, I love that. It's so beautiful. Here it is. And the section in the Bhagavad Gita goes like this. It says, no one is free of actions, even for a moment, because everyone is moved to do things by the qualities of nature, meaning our human nature and Mother Nature, right? Because we're connected and one and the same. Fantastic. Heidi, here she goes. Heidi says, tamas is a state of darkness, inertia, inactivity, and materiality. Thank you. Tamas manifests from ignorance and deludes all beings from their spiritual truths. Wonderful. So that must be the opposite of sattva, right? Sattva being the spiritual seeker who's aiming to elevate themselves above that. But the three are really connected. Hi, Libra Goddess. How are you? I'm a Libra too. So I'm taking questions, and it's $10 a question, $10 US, and you can pay through PayPal or Venmo or my website, georgiamarantos.com. You want to learn how to read yourself even. And one day, one of these Saturday nights, what we'll do is Lois, thank you so much. What we'll do is I got your payment, Lois. Thank you. She says done. Wonderful. And it comes right on the phone when my phone hasn't found its way into another part of the house. So Libra Goddess, let me know. We're taking donations, not donations. We're doing an exchange, $10 for one question. I do have a tarot play shop on March 27th coming up. It's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. 6 p.m. that day. I'll be coming online and going live with the show. Oh, you said page 32? Thanks, Lois. I'll get your card, eh? All right, you bet. Actually, I read from page 32. That was about the qualities of nature. All of that was page 32, Lois. Everything that I've just been saying about the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and about Mother Nature, and about why we have to be here, about why, that it's our nature that we've come here to be here, and we can't free ourselves from it until the time is right. All of that was page 32. And then 33 was the example that he gave of it's something like a patient going into hospital and wanting to leave before the treatment has finished. Or in the same hand, staying in hospital beyond the treatment being finished and saying, oh, I want to stay here, I don't want to leave. And I'm sure we all know what that's like. You know, sitting in the lap of Mother Nature and being fed is just absolutely fantastic, which is we go to nature, right? And we don't want to leave sometimes. So I am going to pull a card for you, Lois. If you have a specific question, let me know, because we can do specific questions. The more specific the question, for everyone who studied with me, this is my mantra. The more specific the question, the more specific the answer, right? You know, very general questions get very sort of overarching sort of readings, you know, and you can sort of grasp from that what works for you, what doesn't. And every reading is, you know, a pulling in of the unlimited potential, and what manifests in that reading is, you know, what we have gleaned together, what we have like chosen together. Can we always reach higher? Absolutely. Can we say, you know what? I don't like that. Let's pull another one. How high can we go? We got the Hermit card today, right? That was the first card that we pulled for the whole night. If it's not high enough, let's go higher. And we're not leaving here. We're very grounded in the here and now. We're here with our gunas, right? We're here with our sattvic nature, our tamas nature, our what was the third one? Raja's nature. We're here. We're here with them. We're not avoiding them. We're not deluded that they're not here. What we're doing is we're just pulling on, you know, what can we bring here now? We're kind of pulling down the moon. How can we bring something juicy and enlightening and uplifting into this sea of samsara, the ocean of samsara? Seas are usually very calm, unless it's windy. And what's wind? What's air? In the tarot, the air element is in the swords, and you'll see. I mean, all of the sword cards, right, Irina, who was with me in the course, all of the sword cards, Linda, you'll know all of the sword cards are all like they're fighting cards, right? Because when we're in our mind, it's like, oh, you know, it's like the thoughts cross, and then there's 3 swords that are crossed, and then there's 4 swords where we're in meditation or just damn sick. You know, our thinking has made us sick. And then there's 5 swords and we've had arguments, and 6 swords and we're off on a boat somewhere, and 7 swords we're lying to ourselves, and 8 swords we're like in complete denial, and 9 swords we're like in a nightmare. 10 swords we're flat on our back with having acupuncture because we need help. It's the end. The swords, you know, it's the swords in the tarot are very dramatic, but it's because the mind is so dramatic, right? It's our thinking. Air creates big movement in a calm sea, right? And if we meditate to allow all that air to settle and allow the water to be still, we're better able to hear our intuition. This is your card, Lois. Everybody's had a major arcana tonight. I'm so impressed. Maybe that's why we got Hermit. Everybody has really big cards, right? So this is about going deep in and controlling the ego. I mean, we were literally just talking about thoughts, right? And ego is that one that is judgmental, the one that's constantly chattering, the one that has an opinion about everything. And we need the ego. Without it, we wouldn't fly. We'd be vegetables on a machine. We need the ego. So there was a great book written by My Stroke of Insight. Okay, the book is called My Stroke of Insight. You have to read it. This woman, the woman who wrote this book, My Stroke of Insight, was a neurobiologist. This woman was full-on scientist, absolutely nothing new agey or spiritual about her. Scientist, everything in the written word. If it wasn't, you know, measurable, and they just didn't believe in it. She had a stroke. I think she had like some kind of a abnormality in her brain, and she bled into, you know, the left side of her brain. And it squashed all of her left brain function. And because she was a biologist, she could actually, as she was experiencing her stroke, she could see all her left brain functions stop working. So she's like, oh, I just can't remember that thing anymore. Or, wow, I'm not speaking. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, I'm picking up the phone. I know there's something wrong with me, and I'm picking up the phone to call mother, but I'm not, the words aren't coming out. I know what I want to say, but the words are not coming out. And so suddenly she's like, her left brain's going. And then she basically, her whole left brain got stopped working. Well, not all of it. Clearly, she had a massive part of her left brain that had been bled into. And, you know, because of the bleed, she was squashing all of the blood supply to the brain. And so it was quietly sort of infarcting. Eventually, the person that she rang on the phone realized there was something wrong and sent an ambulance, right? So she got herself to hospital. But she's at this point in her right brain. And in her right brain, she's just like in present awareness. And the people who are coming to her, she's like, wow, I can feel your thoughts and I can feel you and you're saying this, but I know you're meaning something different. And so suddenly she's in this world of intuition where all of these other senses are fully active. And she writes this book so clearly and, and so like concisely. You really understand the function of the left brain. So this is what this card is. This card is about reaching in and controlling that wild left brain with all of its thoughts and all of its crazy kind of meanderings and just pulling it down and saying, focus. You and me are going to work together, right? The wild animal is now passive. The wild animal has its tongue out and its mouth open. So this is not a lion with its jaws open and its fangs, showing. There's no aggression here. It's complete submission. So this is the ego coming under complete submission to you, Lois. This is what you're working on right now. And as the ego does that, you see how she has a wreath around her, the flower of passion, and how gentle she is. There's no force here. There's no hatred. We don't have to kill the ego. We don't have to, there's no harsh energy around this because it happens. We allow that nature to be itself. And in that allowing, there's an offering up. Okay, because I'm allowed to be here, I can relax and give myself up. The ego gives itself up once there's relaxation. And why does she has a success wreath? So we know you're going to be successful. The number 8 is karma. It's your time. It's your turn, Lois, to do this. It's your turn. It's your time. Look at Shiva in the back. Shiva is supporting you, watching you from afar, and facilitating this healing, all this green land, this healing. She's very calm. She's wearing a white dress. The white dress is connecting her to spirit, right? Spirit, that's the finger. And the infinity symbol is the understanding that, everything happens in cycles and that you are beyond space and time when you are doing this. In connection with Source, you are beyond space and time. Beyond space and time. This can also be about dreams. This card, but to me is always about intuition, about coming in, finding your inner strength, finding that part of you that self-sabotages and just bringing it under your complete voluntary control, bringing it into, and again, it's not a harsh control because you can see the gentleness. You're using gentleness as your strength. This is vulnerability, right? Who would put their hands near the mouth of a lion? Is that not a vulnerable posture? Is that not a crazy thing to do? But here she's doing it because she knows that only with great courage, what strength is courage, only with great courage to change those things that we've always wanted to change about ourselves and change the nature of ego's control over us. We have to have ego under our control. And we have to be in communion with spirit and source when we're doing that. I think that's a truth. Shelley says Martha loves her, the strength card. Absolutely. Nowadays, you can get these cards printed. I mean, some people get tattoos of these cards, and they're just incredibly gorgeous, so colorful and beautiful. You can get T-shirts of these. You can have them up on your fridge. You can get stickers. You can just buy a deck and put the card up, where you are to give yourself motivation, remembering. What a great card, Lois. Congratulations. Congratulations. Because this card is the card of power struggle. And, sometimes this can look like a power struggle, but it's not, because we know it's the archetype of courage. And there's absolutely no power differential here. She's as gentle as this lion is, right? So you're meeting at a place of complete surrender, right? There's a beautiful, if you look at her, she has such grace. There's so much grace coming through her, allowing her to do this. And the lion is allowing, this submission to happen. Our animal nature is coming under our own control. It's a fantastic card. There's so much in it. And, this is about, struggle for power. And so, there's no struggle for power here. So you're just always being reminded to come back to this card where there's no struggle and there's no perpetrator or victim. They're both in the same vibration, which is self-empowerment and self-love. There's no sacrifice here except that there's an offering, right? And you can call it a sacrifice, but it's not a typical sacrifice. It's an offering. The animal is offering itself because she has come to the animal with the correct energy. And I think that's how it happens. With the correct alignment, with alignment, there's an offering up of this nature. This card just came with a beautiful energy, absolute gorgeous energy, which will segue into the Sun card. Yay! Who does not love Sun card? Put your hand up. I want to know who you are. I want to talk to you. I want to find out why. How can you not love the Sun card? Who doesn't love being in the sun? Who doesn't love not the deep, deep, deep south of, not the standing, having difficulty breathing because it's, 40 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit. The Sun card. We've spoken about this card. It's the number 19, right? 1 + 9. Oh, I've got a note to say my connection is unstable. So let me know if you can't hear me. I think last week the same thing happened. Got a lot of people using the internet at the moment. Can everyone hear me? So let me know if there's any trouble. The Sun card. So the Sun card has sunflowers on it. The sunflowers always move when the sun is out to face the sun. And so there's an understanding that the sun is all powerful and lights up even a dark sky, right? Coming to God. Yes, the Sun card is a coming to God. And, the sun is like God because the sun is a very strong masculine energy. The Moon card, which was just before this, is a very strong feminine energy. And the sun is kind of like the source of life on Earth as we know it. So Mars, which is the next planet over, is freezing cold. It's just not close enough to the sun to generate lots of life. If it was closer to the sun, all the frozen sort of tunnels that are, underneath the surface of Mars would melt and all the sort of little bacteria that are living there. So there is water on Mars. There is life on Mars. It's just tiny bacteria. And if it was closer to the sun, it would probably be an Earth. Right? But we're now talking about the sun and the power of the sun and being far away from the sun or being close to the sun or too close to the sun, right? So this wonderful child, gorgeous child with flowers in its hair that's happy, open arms. This is the card of joy. This is the card of bliss. This is the card of coming out through all that's been processed. We've been through the, the temperance. We've been through the tower. We've had this absolute sort of massive transformation. We've changed our foundations. We've created, a whole new way of being. And now we are at the other end. And the sun is here to celebrate, right? The sun is here. We've got a beautiful white horse. We're sitting atop, this purity, this understanding that we are now back to basics, back to the beginning. We're the child, right? The sun card can often indicate a child. In the original tarot cards, the Marseille cards, there were two figures. There were twins in the sun card. So I have had the sun turn up and it indicate twins. It's still connected to the original, the Marseille deck, even though there's only one figure here. There's the horse and the child. So this beautiful flag, passion, freedom. This is the same sash and flag that's on the woman in the world card that we pulled out for Lauren, right? The world card. And let's see if I find it easy, good. But I think everyone remembers what that looks like, right? It was wrapped around her body. This is the same. It's just, it's kind of willowing. There's it's waving. The child appears to be holding it, but it could be holding it. Obviously it is, but we can't see what it's holding. The horse is very calm. Again, its head is down. There's a sense of reverence, a sense of peace, a sense of calm that comes with the sun. The sun is just being itself, beaming, sending out straight rays and wavy rays. It's like ultraviolet. Vivian, hi. Sending to have a card. What I need to know. So Vivian, we if you want to have a reading, it's $10 per question. 30% goes to charity. Very happy to answer your question and look in up to the end of time though. So if you want to get a reading, send in your money quick. It's PayPal or Venmo or paying on my website, georgiamarantos.com. If you want to learn how to read for yourself, the tarot play shop coming up on March 27th. Vivian just sent me money. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So Vivian, I will just finish up here and then I'll answer your question. You sent it under a different name. Okay, Vivian, I trust you. So this is 19. You see these these big green leaves, right? So there's plush. There's a wall, you makes you think that maybe it's jumped to the wall or come through the wall. But the fact that the wall is there means that we've got strong foundation now. And we have our foundation kind of landing and standing in joy. So from here on, everything is really wonderful. And you have a new beginning again, because the number 19 leads us to the number 20. Number 20 is judgment, which is enlightenment. And then after judgment, we have 21, which is the world. And then you have the Fool after that, which is the beginning again. Wow, we've already come to the end of our major arcana. I'm excited. I'm excited for us. What a journey it's been. So this is one of the cards where, how can the sun card be like negative? How can you read the shadow in the sun card when the sun is just pure light? So we have a look. Oh, thank you, Vivian. No problem. I trust you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I had to make you explain it so much. Yeah. Look at this kind of stern look on the sun's face. And look at this child that's kind of like, it's not holding on to any reins. If the horse moves, it could potentially fall off. We don't know. It's a little unsteady, unstable. It's quite vulnerable, right? There's a lot of vulnerability in this particular picture. So those are the influences of the Sun card. Really quite simple. There's not too much sort of in the Sun card because we've come out of all the symbolism before that. So Vivian, I am going to answer your question. I'm going to pull a card. I'm going to start off. What do you need to know about the book that you're writing? So we've had a few writers on the show, right? Shelley's a writer, and we've been talking about her book. So you are giving birth to a baby. Vivian and her book. Wow. So the energy is strong for you to write the book, to keep writing the book, keep going. I think that if you are feeling the urge, when you feel the urge to write this book, just get up and do it. Doesn't matter where you are. If you are driving, if you are, buying something, you're in a store, just stop, pull out your phone, start recording what the thought is in your mind. Right. So, I don't know how you're writing this book if you're using a computer. I mean, obviously you'd be using a computer or something, but this card is saying that the thoughts are coming quick, that it might even be really, you may even finish it very quickly because this card is a very speedy card. It's in terms of timing, it indicates that now is the time that you are doing it. Spirit's encouraging you to continue doing it. All is well is the message. You're not doing anything wrong. So just keep going because, you can see the energy's lifting. It's just fantastic. Lauren Fox gets innocence, right? Innocence. Just allow yourself to let it flow. Don't, obviously, one of the best things, I've never written a book. I wish Shelley was here giving us some guidance. And if you're listening, Shelley, and you have any kind of advice to give Vivian as an experienced writer, learning from people who have done it, and any kind of advice that they can give you for when you're writing your book is really important. But Spirit here is saying that you're writing your book. There's a lot of energy around it, and it's very, very good. I'm going to pull one more card out. The Hanged Man. So I feel like this is talking about what you're actually talking about in the book. To me, it feels like there's a spiritual undercurrent of what it is. Get out of your head, right? So what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be editing as you're going. I think this is the thing. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow. Don't stop the flow. And don't expect to remember something if you thought it and you couldn't write it. Stop the car on the side of the road and get it down. Shelley says you're doing great. Stop the side on the car of the road, stop the car on the side of the road and get out and put your thoughts down, and then add everything to the book. Just add it. So you're just going to throw everything in, and then you don't want to get out of your head about it. Right? You don't want to be thinking about this book. You just want to let it come through you because that's what this energy is saying. The energy is there for you to write this book. Okay. And this card, the Devil, is about fears, right? So, these two cards are major arcana cards, right? So the energy for the book is definitely here and definitely pushing. Spirit saying go for it. This one's saying get out of your head. And this one's don't be afraid, right? Because once we have this thing and we put it out in the world, we're like, oh, what are they going to think? Who am I going to show it to? Who should I let read it? These are really important questions. So Vivian says, wow, I'm blown away. This is exactly what I was feeling, so accurate. It came out of the blue that I needed to write this book. Boy, did it. This is the blue, right? So, yeah, you need to do. And what you want to do is take some of this kind of cautionary advice, not to let your mind get in the way, right? Because fear is kind of part of the mind, isn't it? It comes up with these worries, you're not going to do any good, or, nobody wants to hear you say that, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, who cares? Just put all of that aside and say, I am going to do this. come hell or high water, and I'm just going to put it all out there, and I'm going to collect it all, and then I'll worry about, making it make sense, right? Because it's a bit like channeled writing. This to me is like a channeled writing, or a download, or a inspired information that's coming to you. So you're going to have to keep these two cards at bay, which is, get out of your head, just keep doing what you're doing. It's true you're scared. Yeah, it's scary, right? Because you've got all these people out there who've written their books, and there are amazing books and there are not so amazing books. But the truth is that if you're being asked to make the book, there's a reason. And even if your book helps one person only, then the reason for it existing is valid and true and spiritual, because you've helped one person. One person got that. Maybe 10 people get it. Maybe 100 people get it. Maybe 10,000 people get it. But even if it just helps one person, somebody needed to read what you wrote. It's soothing to hear your voice and reassuring. It's true. It comes as a download, right? Great. I'm super happy for you. Got little chills there. Shelley Carlos, the words an offering. Bam. Okay, you weren't here, Vivian, for when we were pulling pages out of this book, The Living Gita, which is about the Bhagavad Gita, but we were literally talking about how everything is an offering, how your book is God, right? You are creating something beautiful for God to read. You are creating something, you, God, right, are creating this thing called a book, which is God, and you're offering it to God, right? So this is God just loving himself. So why did, this is what we've heard said to us. Why did why is there separation, right? We separated ourselves from ourselves to love ourselves more, because it's us, it's who we are as our highest version of ourselves offering to someone else. If we can tap into that, if we can tap into the grace of that, then we're all just crying because of the grace of it all. Right? Shelley's right. Right. Keep going. We come back on the show and let us know how it's going. We want to read it. Tell us when it's published, or tell us everything. Your baby is safe with us here. It is 7:30. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you to everybody who sent in money. Your money is going to the Wild Bird Fund, and it will go today. I finally put the money into the Irish Wheelchair Association, and I think I may owe them a little bit more. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your love and support. I love you and support you just as much back. You only have to ask me for it, and I will be right there for you. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week. We're going to be studying the judgment card. Absolutely no judgment in the judgment card. You love that? Bye, everybody.